Say Congress is getting around to a fight that I've had for 50 years. And that is, well, not even a fight. I've always wondered why we're paying for NPR. Now, I don't believe, do we pay for all of it? No, because
they still beg for money.
They beg for money, yeah. But they have plenty of money coming in from taxpayers. And I've always been opposed to that because they've been my competition.
Right. The government is paying for your competition.
I mean, if I had Joe's Tire Shop on University Avenue and down the block comes the Minnesota Tire Shop, I'm in a disadvantage.
That's not fair. They shouldn't be in that
So
business.
I don't like it. And do I watch some of their stuff? Sure. And if the market calls for it, that kind of programming would certainly exist. So John and I were talking before the show, and he looked up, what was the rationale for creating it in the first place? And what was it, John, about 1971 or 72?
1967.
Oh, 67.
It was an LBJ thing.
So, and it was, I'll read it, John.
Hang on, I deleted it after you.
Well, but you're so
savvy.
You're so facile.
Savvy
on the computer that I'm sure you can regather it quickly.
NPR was created in 1970 by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to provide an independent, nonprofit source of news and programming to the American public, as mandated by the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967.
Right. Well, but it was to do what? It was to provide cultural...
To be a source of information of consequence that would create enlightened participants in society. Okay,
but it's purely biased. It's purely left. I don't even think that can be in the realm of hyperbole. It's obviously a leftist organization.
Yeah.
I don't have any. What is the taxpayer's obligation to fund that? Any more than the taxpayer wouldn't have an obligation to fund a right-leaning organization that's on the airwaves.
Why hasn't that ever happened, by the way?
I don't know. Because
why do they always have to be lefties?
But the current head of NPR, apparently she's been getting grilled, is Catherine Maher. And she's in the hot seat now, and she's been testifying before Congress. And Christopher Rufo, remember him? He was one of the American Experiment's visiting speakers last fall.
Okay.
And he has published exclusive reports on Maher's background. She, as a U.S.-backed political actor in the Middle East and North Africa, her role in censoring information as CEO of Wikipedia, and her troubling social media history, which reveals lopsided left-wing ideological bias and support for removing political opposition from digital platforms. But what Rufo did is he prepared 10 questions that she might be asked. Number one, according to a report in City Journal, you work for the U.S. government-supported NGOs that advance regime change campaigns in the Middle East and North Africa. A former cabinet minister in the Tunisian transitional government publicly claimed that you secretly worked with the CIA. When you were active in that region, did you ever work for, speak with, or advocate in parallel with anyone in the American intelligence services? Number two, in 2020, you wrote that America is addicted to white supremacy and expressed support for race-based reparations. Do you still believe that America is addicted to white supremacy? And do you still support wealth transfers from one race to another? Why am I paying for this woman?
I don't want to.
In 2016, you chastised Hillary Clinton for using the words boy and girl, arguing that her words were erasing language for non-binary people. Can you tell us what a non-binary person is? And can you define the word woman for us? In 2021, when describing your work as CEO of Wikipedia during a presentation for the Atlantic Council, you stated that the First Amendment was the number one challenge for suppressing bad information on the internet. Do you still believe that the First Amendment is a problem and that censoring dissent is the best method of eliminating bad information? Number 5, in that same speech, you stated that you took a very active approach to disinformation and misinformation during the COVID pandemic and the 2020 election. You further explained that you censored information through conversations with government. With which governments did you consult about these issues, and specifically, what information did Wikipedia censor? Number 6, in 2020, when President Trump was banned from all major social media platforms, you wrote, "Must be satisfying to deplatform fascists. Even more satisfying, not platforming them in the first place." Do you still believe that banning the political opposition is consistent with the First Amendment and more broadly a culture of free speech? Number 7, that same year you called Donald Trump a deranged, racist sociopath. You still hold this opinion? In your estimation, no, let me pause right there. I don't care if she holds that opinion, but why do I have to pay for it? You can hold that opinion all day long, lady, and find your own work. Why am I paying for it? That same year you called Donald Trump a deranged, racist sociopath. You still hold this opinion? In your estimation, how many Republicans are deranged, racist sociopaths? And why should conservative taxpayers continue to subsidize NPR when it is led by someone with such obvious contempt for them? Number 8, in an interview you stated that as CEO of Wikipedia, you abandoned a free and open internet as the organization's mission because those principles recapitulated a white male westernized construct. That's the first time I read this today. What have I been telling you what the mystery wants? They want to completely deconstruct this country. They want to eliminate white patriarchy, and they think the founding of the country was flawed. It sounds to me like she's a lieutenant colonel in that army.
I would add break down conventionalism.
That's it, baby. In an interview, you stated free and open internet is the organization's mission because those principles recapitulated a white male westernized construct and did not end up living into the intentionality of what openness can be. What the hell is she blabbering about? What is a white male westernized construct, and do you still oppose a free and open internet? Number 9, we have identified dozens of left-wing reporters who work at NPR. Can you name a single conservative reporter who works in your newsroom? Why should right-leaning Americans continue to subsidize a network that promotes a uniformly left-wing worldview? I wouldn't have asked the question that way. I would have said, why should any American continue to subsidize a network that promotes a uniformly left-wing worldview? And finally, number 10, on Twitter you have written that you were so done with late-stage capitalism, a phrase derived from Marxist economic theory, and suggested that you would support efforts to go punch Nazis. I don't know what that means. Do you still oppose the, because I'll punch a Nazi. Maybe he means, maybe he's referring to what she believes that Republicans in America are Nazis. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you still oppose the system of American capitalism? And do you still support physically harming those whom you deem politically intolerable? Those are 10 great questions. I don't want to pay for this, and I'm glad they're holding these hearings. It's the least of our problems financially. I'm sure it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we're spending, but there's no reason on God's green earth that we're paying for this, and there never has been. This is not a new war for me. I've told you a million times. NPR, which has a wonderful newsroom. I don't have a building.
And you're privately owned?
The St. Paul Pioneer Press no longer hasn't had a building. We don't have any headquarters.
Sign of the Times?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yes.
Star Tribune,
and
half what it used to be?
NPR workers go to every day on an intersection that light rail had to be accommodated for them by being built on a hydraulic platform. Like it had shock absorbers in case they were interviewing a Bulgarian lesbian poet. You wanted to be able to hear it.
Think of that every time I go over that pad.
This is outrageous. This is among the many things we shouldn't be paying for. I grant you, it's not a big financial deal.
Over the years, yes, it has. They got the latest equipment. They got, think about that.
What have I just said?
Yeah.
I'm competing with their latest
Yes,
equipment.
I concur.
I've been in their newsroom.
I never have.
It's
Was it a job interview?
top drawer.
Job interview?
No, it wasn't.
They
a
let
job
you in?
interview.
Yeah.
You've never been in there.
He was promptly escorted out. He
I
said
was.
He had a
No way
really
they
hot
let you
story.
in.
Yes, I was, Kenny.
Yes.
I was interviewed on some show, and I don't remember what it was.
Did they put a sack over your head and maybe a gag in your
Yeah, a
mouth?
little burlap sack.
Plug
no,
your ears so you
no,
couldn't
I
tell
was
where you were.
interviewed for some purpose. I don't recall what it was.
If you were
now I
interviewed,
really would like to know.
I thought you said they didn't ever have a conservative viewpoint, but you were interviewed?
Yeah.
They have no conservative reporters.
Maybe that was
I
during
see.
that was during his leftist years.
Well, John, you can go ahead and pay for them at your own desire.
I don't want to pay for. I like them, but I don't. Plus, the other thing I don't understand is, and I'm trying to find it here, but the part of the government spending that is part of their budget is very small. So what are they so worried about? NPR, I mean.
Oh, yeah, they beg for money and do very well with their
Yeah.
begging.
Yeah.
And they have commercials, despite the fact they say they don't.
Right.
It's all a ruse. I don't want to pay for it. And again, what a Pyrrhic victory. It's nothing. It's $5. I don't know what percent of my income tax goes to NPR. Maybe it's 29 cents. I don't care. That's not the point. Why are you funding this clearly one-sided operation?
Are Powder Milk Biscuits still a big sponsor of that show?
No. Garrison took that with him, I believe.
Okay, smart.
Unless, no, I don't think so, because he still calls his show the Prairie Home Companion,
He's
doesn't he?
making a little comeback, and I just saw he's got about 8 or 9 touring dates.
So I believe then he must own the copyright for that,
Okay, it would have been smart.
unlike Garage Logic, which
Yeah,
I
way
don't
to give it
own.
away. Way to give it away, bro.
I don't own.
Yep, you take it.
Here's
To
my-
back your position up, you might remember, I think it was probably a year ago now, that a senior NPR, National Public Radio editor, resigned because he wrote something in the free press, not on public radio, but in the free press, saying that NPR had an absence of viewpoint diversity.
I remember
Basi-
that specifically. Yes, I
and
do.
he got so much heat
John, I
that
bet
he
can
had-
find it.
Yeah, it's Yuri Berliner is
Yeah,
his name.
yes.
Yeah. And so he had to step down just out of pressure.
Isn't that something?
He was a senior business editor there.
Okay, the American taxpayer should not have to fund that.
Right.
Do it on your own. I'll still watch some of your stuff. They got stuff that intrigues me every now and then.
Bridge stuff.
Huh?
Bridge
I
stuff.
love a good bridge documentary. They don't do enough of them.
No, not in your mind. Ishman
But
Berliner.
I do not contribute to them.
You have never cut him a check.
I've never cut them a check. I have other charities in mind. They'd be the last on my list.
I think one night there was a.
You were hammered.
They were a drive. There was a drive, and I was all bleep faced.
Get
and
that
I think
checkbook.
I pledged, but I don't think I ever came through with it. I think there's still maybe a $200 vacancy in my.
You
next
just
to my
wanted
name.
to get on the air?
Yeah.
Were you on the air
Yes,
with him?
on the air. It must
it's
have been
the
about
rookie.
maybe 25 years ago. And hey, I love you guys. I like that. Who was the 2 news guys way back when?
I don't know.
There were 2 news guys.
Hey, Matt, I got to do something.
Okay, I'll think about it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you can just be quiet for a
Never
while.
mind your touching story that brings humanity to the
Yeah,
program, Matthew.
That he was bringing no humanity to
Okay,
the story.
all right.
Believe
It's
me.
2
Okay.
guys,
Believe
and
me.
they did.
Here we go.
Point
Get back
counterpoint.
on track here. Show number 1511.
Wasn't
Here we go.
Almanac.